man, we are back on the CEO Pulse podcast where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. We have none other than Blake Templeton today with us. He's the CEO, founder of Boron Capital. And check this out. He's an official member at Force Business Council. So, this guy has been in the real estate space and a lot of big thinking, type of ventures, along the way, right? Now he's focused on cryptocurrency, which is one of the biggest and hottest topics out there. So I can't wait to come in and then pick his brain. But he's done it all. He's been highly successful, wholesaling since 2012, and understanding how that process went. He just eventually evolved to the place where he's at right now, and absolutely crushing it. So Blake, thank you so much for spending the time with us and stopping by.
Hey, my joy, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, you also hold an $80 million portfolio in real estate. So
our management team has 80 million in portfolio. You're correct. Yeah, exciting.
Yeah, and it's impressive, man. You're talking things that somewhat. They're somewhat in alignment from each other, right? But they're definitely steps in the right direction. For example, a hedge fund. You manage a hedge fund, and is that for real estate purposes, or is that also tapping into the cryptocurrency space?
Yeah, so it's two separate hedge funds. One's in real estate, self-storage and mobile home parks, and then hedge fund in cryptocurrency. And in the cryptocurrency, we actively manage a portfolio for investors. So we bring in the investors, invest into the hedge fund, and then we hold a portion of Bitcoin, and then we trade the narratives of the altcoins. So there's obviously a camouflage, soap opera of crypto, and I look forward to diving into that and kind of like pulling back the camouflage and pulling back all the myths, and then and kind of revealing the truths.
I'm telling you, man, it's and it's overwhelming. My space is real estate, right? So it's easy to just kind of nod off important things that are happening because I'm focused in my lane. But I personally feel like there's a lot of opportunity being missed just because I don't understand the whole thing. Lack of clarity tends to be one of the biggest issues for entrepreneurs, right? I absolutely want to tap into that stuff. Before we jump in there, can you give us a little bit of background on you and how you got started as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, absolutely. Started as a college dropout, thought of putting to my name. Couldn't defer student loans anymore, so humbly moved back in with mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
And in 2006, my parents got a letter in the mail to go to a real estate conference, and so went to the real estate conference. And I was hooked. I didn't know really anything about specifics of real estate, but I knew numbers, and I'm like, I can follow the formulas of numbers, and so. We started wholesaling in 2006 and knocking on foreclosures and massive, boots on the ground strategy to online strategy to lumpy, mail campaigns, bandit signs, all the basics, you name it. And first 9 months made six figures, and then doubled the next year, then doubled the next year. My parents were like, "Hey, could you sell us one of these and help us flip it?" And so, my parents ended up flipping a dozen houses. My wife's parents ended up, flipping a dozen houses. But,
that was before he got popular too. There wasn't a lot of wholesaling going on back then.
Yeah, it was definitely. I was definitely the one pioneering it in my area, and it was. It's funny when you trailblaze and you become super successful, then there's literally everyone's like a copycat trying to copy your business card, your bandit sign, like as if there's one secret touch, Yeah. But one thing you mentioned was like the layers, that there's like levels, and we did 300 plus deals from 2006 to 2012, and then I realized like this play bigger mentality. Like I had to start thinking, how do you scale? How do you do bigger things? And that's when we scaled into commercial real estate, 2012 to present. And we started with multifamily, went into apartments, started buying. I'm in Texas, started buying apartments as far as Georgia, and then doing a value add, flipping properties, and then went into self-storage and mobile home parks, and realizing that that was the game changer of, if you looked over from 1993 to present at every single real estate class, from office to retail to residential to all the different layers of commercial, like industrial, self-storage and mobile home parks had more appreciation in that time period than any other asset class. And we wanted to like scale, and we realized the hedge fund was the way to do that. So we partner with powerhouse operators, and then we put together, massive portfolios. So each property is 10 to 30 million. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And they're what we call legacy properties.
Yeah.
So we never sell. We give all the investors their cash back, and then we keep them in the deal. And it's ATM machine like crazy. And then the other side is the crypto. And that's what we're really passionate about. This is the future. This is like where if you don't get on the digital bandwagon, you are lost. Like Bitcoin would be like looked at as like the digital gold. It's like a bank in cyberspace. What people don't understand is it's thermodynamically designed, and the US dollar is what we'd call fiat currency. And that fiat currency started in 1971 when we became off the gold standard. So previously gold was attached to the dollar, and the dollar was more like an IOU. When they removed gold from it because they wanted to print more and they didn't have enough gold to back it. So then they said, okay, we don't need gold because the dollar's, it stands on its own.
We'll call it that it's worth this.
You're right. Yeah. And then obviously the printing of that became astronomical. Crazy fact, in the last 24 months, we have printed 35.7% of all money in history of the US has been printed in the last 24 months. 35.7%. So literally it's gone catabolic on how much they've printed, which means insane. The value gets diluted.
Right.
And so the government would say, inflation is maybe 2 to 7%. Inflation's 15%. Once you actually look at the things you and I actually buy. And so that's what we have to think about as investors. How do you play bigger? How do you scale? How do you do things in a faster, with more momentum? Because you have to outpace inflation at 15%. Yeah. And so if people got money sitting somewhere, you've got to make more than that.
Yeah, otherwise you're losing 15% at the rate of at the speed of light.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's increasing. You mentioned the term thermodynamic. What do you mean by that? You said Bitcoin is thermodynamically designed.
Yeah. So saying it in another way would be like it's what most people don't understand is that the US dollar is what we'd call fungible. So it's like fundable. You can like buy stuff with it, but it doesn't hold the ability to be transferred somewhere without a fee. So we have all these middlemen who've created all these fees. So like, for give you example, thermodynamic would be being able to send money somewhere in lightning speed where they could receive it on them and it's free. For example, we have a friend in India we send money to, and he literally, so we send it through Western Union. He has to travel an entire day on foot to get to the Western Union. And then the Western Union takes like 20% as a fee.
Yeah.
And then he has to obviously walk a whole day back just to get the money. So with Bitcoin on a Bitcoin wallet on his phone, literally instantly on a high rail system, it's to him. Thermodynamic would be where no matter what's going on in the Ukraine-Russia situation where all the banks were shut down, the Ukraine president said, hey, can anyone help? And in 1 week, $53 million in cryptocurrency was sent to him like that. And so it holds, it's a store, Bitcoin's a storehold of wealth where no matter what's happening in the world, it actually holds value because it has a limited amount of coins that are actually mined. So 21 million is the total amount. So it has a limited amount, and that's what creates a value on anything. So
right. Supply and demand, right?
Yeah, that's the problem with the US dollar, is that the supply is endless. Like,
we run out, they just start printing.
Right. It's control P. Yeah. Colin Powell just came out and said, I will print as much money as I have to print to keep America going. And obviously right there, we're sunk. So key fact is that when a currency is a fiat currency, which basically just means it's not backed by anything, there's not one currency in all of history, in the entire world, all of history, that's ever lasted more than 70 years as a fiat currency, because it wasn't backed by anything. So like seashells, or it was a currency at one point. Well, guess what? Somebody got smart and they went to another beach that had tons of seashells and they brought them over.
They became rich.
That's right.
So what is backing crypto in that sense?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it in itself is Bitcoin becomes the actual value itself. And most people don't understand that there's thermodynamic would also be like it has usability. So it's like there's uses of it. And most people think just currency. Well, a good way to think about it is there's what's called a blockchain. And the best way to explain it would be like, so I have an iPhone right here, and my iPhone is software. So it does lots of different things, but there's software running what it does.
Right.
So Bitcoin is software. Think software versus currency. Then when I open my phone, there's an app store, and that app store is a platform. And Bitcoin has a platform, and it's called a blockchain. And the iPhone that has an app store has apps in it. And you and I would say, well, those are businesses. And Bitcoin has, again, the blockchain, that's the platform. And there's lots of businesses on the platform.
Right.
So there's lots of uses of the actual item. So on the blockchain, for example, Ethereum has a blockchain, Solana has a blockchain, Luna has a blockchain. So for example, there's what we call smart contracts. And you can actually, you can take someone's going to buy real estate, for example. Right now, you and I have to go to a title company. We've got to go see if there's a lien on it. And they take 5 to 7 days to do a lien search. And they go down to the courthouse and they go through this entire process to see if there's any liens. Well, the blockchain will actually handle escrow, and the blockchain will actually handle title records. So if I was going to buy a property from you, this is cryptocurrency, mind you.
Right.
You're going to already be tied to the blockchain that you're the owner of XYZ property. And then I can look at the blockchain and I can look at the title record and I can see the liens, if there's any, like right there. I don't have to go through a third party to play this hoops and ladders game. Then if I want to buy that property, the smart contract is held on the blockchain, and I can send the money to the smart contract on the blockchain in crypto. And then it is going to then give you the money, and it's going to give me the warranty deed, and it's going to file the warranty deed on the blockchain instantaneously. And there's never ever a thought of fraud. Like I know I can see I own the property on the blockchain, and the money gets wired to you seamlessly. So there's a ton of other uses of the blockchain, like digital rights and wages and global payments, voting will be done on the blockchain. So there's no more like filling in bubbles of paper, there's extra votes got put somewhere and there's dead people voting. It doesn't matter what side you're on that side of it. It's like, it's just accurate. Everything becomes accurate on the blockchain. So there's
so it's somewhat of a decentralized process, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's completely decentralized. It's completely secure. It's trusted. It's automated. It's shared publicly. It removes the middlemen. And so those layers create this dynamic piece that'll actually, it's changing the world right now. As we talked about the Ukraine,
absolutely,
and Russia scenario, there's more people without a bank account right now that than have a bank account in the world. And with a Bitcoin wallet, literally it changes the entire way that things function. The candidate right now for prime minister is saying, Bitcoin should be the capital of the world. The Canadians should be able to use Bitcoin as their actual currency. And so it's a big deal. Vietnam actually has ordered their central bank to create a legal framework for Bitcoin to be legal tender there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So, and at the foundation of this whole thing is Bitcoin, right? Because that's the software.
You got it. And like Russia or not, it doesn't matter where you stand on the fence. Yeah. Russia is the number one natural gas exporter in the world. Yeah. And now because of all of the shutdowns, they're saying, hey, we're open to accepting Bitcoin if you want some oil. So it's changing everything. Back in 2010, somebody accepted Bitcoin for a slice of pizza. And now Bitcoin is changing the entire world with putting banking opportunities for the less fortunate. And so quite crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's insane. And I think, evolution, right? Social evolution. I think we go through highs and lows and whatnot, but there's definitely uncertainty going on in the economy. It doesn't matter how you try to sugarcoat it. At the end of the day, like, there is uncertainty, and there's tangible proof that the value of the dollar is declining. Like, it's not standing as strong as it was, right? Especially when you have all these all this production of money to kind of fill in the gaps and oh, you know what, we're gonna do bailouts, we're gonna do all kinds of crazy things. We'll just print some more out. And I mean, unfortunately, it's a lot of what's happened over the last years. But I think it's inevitable, right? I do see it. I think it's inevitable that something like crypto and Bitcoin, is developed and people move to a decentralized way of just managing everything that they do. So you have. There's a couple of things, right? Like, what are maybe the 3 top things to know about cryptocurrency?
Yeah, I would say number one is that if you don't become aware that it's changing the world, which means it'll change your world, then you'll be on the wrong side of it, meaning you'll be only the user and you won't be applying the understanding that it is the greatest wealth transfer in world history. So it's not only eating up the market cap of investments. So for instance, gold's $11 trillion asset. It is literally, the gold bugs are moving into the digital gold. They're realizing, like, we have to have money here. So the second thing I'd say is the large influencers are being absolutely transformed. You have individuals like Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio said back in 2017, So for those of you who don't know, Ray Dalio owns the largest hedge fund in the United States, and bonds was 40% of his hedge fund.
Bridgewater, right?
Yeah, yep, it's Bridgewater, and Bridgewater had a 22-year in a row cycle of not losing money. And in 2017, he said it's a bubble. So cryptocurrency is a bubble. Bitcoin's a bubble. It's not Bitcoin's not an effective storehold of wealth because it's volatile, unlike gold. Literally in 2021, he said, personally, I'd rather hold Bitcoin than a bond. That's literally like 40%. So he had upwards of 186 billion. 40% of that was bonds, and they ended up losing their shirt in 2020 and 2021. And so he made this massive shift. And so you have people like Ken Griffin, the CEO of Citadel, who manages over 235 billion of a massive conglomerate. He was massively bearish on cryptocurrency, dismissing it as he called it a jihadist call against the dollar. I mean, quite aggressive language.
It is. I think that's going a little overboard, but
and so this a few weeks ago, he said cryptocurrency has been one of the greatest stories in finance over the course of my last 15 years. And he goes on to say, I made a call and I was wrong. Now it's upwards of 2 trillion in rounds number, and I was wrong about my call. And so you have so many people who are making massive shifts.
Yeah.
And
these are shakers and movers. I mean,
they really are. I mean, the CEO of the Southeast Asia's largest bank just said Bitcoin is an alternative to gold. Southeast Asia's largest bank. And so, everything is shifting, and you've just got to realize that when you have governments like El Salvador, they just made it legal tender. It's the official legal tender of El Salvador. You see stuff shifting, and you realize that, what, I need to have some ownership of this, because when Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, he was, massively bearish. And then he goes to, well, I have 3%, in my portfolio. And then he's like, well, I now listen to smart younger kids who are helping me understand what's shifting. Now he's like, 10%, now he's closer to 20%. Then you have like Mark Cuban, who's like, was very bearish. And now he's like, man, 75% of every dollar I make now, I put into cryptocurrency.
Wow, that's aggressive.
Yeah. So
it goes to show too, right? The track record and the evolution. I mean, it's you can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and then expect different results.
Absolutely.
The reality of things is that everything around us is changing. We are having different results. You have to adapt to that stuff.
That's it.
Yeah. It's crazy. What advice would you give to early adopters and people jumping into crypto?
Yeah, so I would say, so for those of you who are just now getting in, you fall in one of 3 categories. First category is you saw when it was at, a penny, and you realize it's gone up 20 million% since 2011. Or you saw it was up, at $2,000 a coin in 2017, and you're like, man, shoot, I wish I would have. And so people are like, is it too late? It's probably too late. Well, the truth is, the adoption period is actually these next 3 to 5 years is everything. So you're not late, you're right on time. And the value, remember, is not based on noise, but it's based on the utility, the ability to have velocity on the app store, on the actual blockchain, on the businesses. And so when you realize that, and you realize that there's a limited, amount of Bitcoin, then the value continues to go up, and the market cap of other industries like the bond market, which is dead, it's a dead decade, all that money is starting to move into cryptocurrency. And so the gold bugs, that money's moving into cryptocurrency. So supply and demand, the value goes up. We are really, really early, even though it looks like you've missed the boat. So these next 2 to 3 years, you're gonna see the institutions be regulated to go into cryptocurrency. They're literally like at a horse race. Each institution is a horse, and they're banging against the the gate, trying to get through when the gun goes off and they actually start the race. The institutions can't get into it because they're not regulated yet to get into it. So once that happens, you're going to see this massive money source goes into it, and at that point, you should have moved forward. So advice is you gotta move in now. In our investment firm, surprisingly, we have more people in their 50s and 60s than we do of the younger generation moving over. One, they have larger sums of money, but two, they're realizing that the US dollar is depleting, the value's decreasing, their stocks are literally dead, they haven't made money, and unfortunately they have to make money for retirement, and they see the signs. And so we see larger movements from the older crowd, ironically, just because they have more fierce conviction that I've got to do something. So last thing on wisdom is you've got to get started in the process of cryptocurrency, and you can't mess up. One, if you're with a hedge fund, and say you want to just try it on your own, there's multiple websites you can go to just start learning. I mean, you can go to YouTube and just start watching Bitcoin news. You can go to Bitcoin magazine. There's if you just want to start dipping your toe in, my encouragement to you is play with somebody who's rolled the red carpet out, who's already pioneered the way, who can actually elevate your wealth in a considerable way.
So success leaves a track record, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
It's not that hard to identify somebody who's crushing it in there. Wow, I mean, this is a lot. And it's enlightening and it's concerning, right? Because if we keep doing the same stuff that we're doing, it may be working, for a period of time. But you're right. I wasn't aware that that institutions were not. I mean, that's why the floodgates haven't, just opened up. So I mean, and it makes perfect sense. Once they do get approved, or however the process works, they're gonna flood the crypto space,
right?
And it's gonna be a lot tougher. So tell me how do you guys work? I mean, from the hedge fund to the trainings, and give me the skinny on everything that you guys are doing.
Yeah, and before I forget, I want to offer your guys. I know your crowd is entrepreneurial. I know they're hungry for knowledge. I know they're built to actually grow because of the mentality of what you've poured into them. And so we have a free masterclass I want to give all your listeners. And so before I forget, I got more stuff to share with you guys, but and just so you know, this is a private closed door event, so this is a big deal. The information in this is unparalleled, or you'd find it anywhere else. But if you guys will text, so pull out your cell phone and if you'll text the word invest,
text the word
invest to the phone number 877-771-0615, 877-771-0615. And if you'll do that, then that will begin the conversation back and forth. We'll send you that masterclass. It is the absolute the kickstart to give you the details, the fundamentals, the understanding. It has full of charts and graphs, and this is for the novice all the way to someone who already has cryptocurrency. You just want to know how to make more money with your crypto.
Wow.
So,
So that's they have to text the word invest to
right.
877-771-0615 for that free masterclass on crypto. That's insane, man. I mean, a lot of the stuff that holds us back, as entrepreneurs is lack of clarity. It's not lack of a capacity of doing things or intellectual, IQ, or it's none of that stuff. It's just not knowing exactly where to get started. And often, times that's the nail that that goes in the coffin and kills the entrepreneur dream, right? Not knowing where to get started. And this is huge. I mean, I know I'm gonna jump all over it.
Yeah, it's so good. And
Thank you.
you're so welcome. And but big picture, how our hedge fund works is, I'm gonna tell you how it doesn't work. So anyone can go get into cryptocurrency. You can go venture on your own. You can go purchase. You can go through an app and purchase some shares. What people don't understand is like an app like Robinhood or all these different apps like that. Um, there's no way to build wealth, because what you're doing is you're holding something, and through most of the apps you can't actually sell without massive fees, and you're going back and forth between short-term gains, and you're doing it without the knowledge of what's really happening behind the scenes. So remember we talked about the as the iPhone had a software and a platform called the App Store, and Bitcoin was a software that had a platform called the blockchain. On the blockchain, there's tons of businesses with money moving back and forth. We can actually see which ones are doing good and which ones are doing bad. So we're then swing trading the narrative. So a certain coin has a great narrative, but we can see it's not a long-term stability because it doesn't have its own blockchain. Well, we'll ride it up, and we have stop losses. We'll ride it up until we know, okay, this one's done. But then we're always looking for that next one. So candidly, Bitcoin did 300% on its own in 2020. I mean, if you were just breathing and held Bitcoin, you made 300%. Our hedge fund made 312%. Last year, Bitcoin was very volatile and did 66% rate of return. Well, that's better than almost anything else in the entire world.
Yeah.
Our management of our hedge fund did 193%.
Oh, wow.
Net to the investors. So, it's just a point of realizing that the swing trading, that's the big point. Or take the case of January when everything the stock market fell, Ukraine stuff's happening, crypto fell. Well, we were able to pull our cash, put our money in a USD stable coin, so kept it in crypto. Did a thing called staking, which we're able to make 11% annually while just sitting on the sideline while everything went down. And then we can come back in, dollar cost average in, and buy now at the lower price as it came back up to now's price, about 46,000. So there's just so much right now, unless you want to be a full-time day trader and go learn the whole scope of everything and have 10 years of width and depth, and it's not worth your time unless you've got 300 or 400 million yourself. That's where the benefit is of a hedge fund like this, is you get to tap into what maybe is an institutional type of investment, but you get to tap into it as an entrepreneur.
And this is so for the crypto hedge fund, you're talking about accredited investors. Is that what plays into it?
Right. So for the hedge fund, it's for accredited investors. And for those of you who don't know, that would be for if you're single, you made 200,000, at least 200,000 a year for the last 2 years. Or if you're married, you've made 300,000 together for the last 2 years. Or you've got $1 million net worth outside of your house. So that could be your real estate property equities, and could be your doctor's office, could be all those different things like that. But yeah, so it's for that group of individuals, and that's just because we're SEC regulated, and got to be under their rules.
Yeah. No, I mean that's amazing. And again, I mean, I tried day trading just because I thought it was fun for a while. When I started getting into stocks and whatnot, I mean, it's a headache. It's a full time gig, if not more. And I mean, it just sucks all the joy out of out of my life. I know that. So no, I mean, I can appreciate the expertise going into any of this type of advanced strategies for investment. So it's huge. Man, Blake, thank you so much, brother. I mean, this is it really gave me a crypto lesson, 101 on stuff that I wasn't understanding, and I'm definitely gonna take advantage of your guys' master class, and that's text invest to 877-771-0615. We'll make sure to put that on the notes as well. And absolutely, I mean, people out there start learning about something that's everything is shifting, right? You have to the key term here is early adopter, I think. I mean, not even that early, right? Because I remember looking at Bitcoin and I thought it was a joke when it was I think that when I really seriously looked at it, it was about $1,800 or something like that. Like now, it's not gonna go anywhere. I mean, I want to kick myself in the ass every morning when I wake up, and I missed out on that boat. So you're right. I mean, it does feel like we're late to the game, but in the broad context of things, it's relatively a good time because the big money hasn't really tapped into it. So it's just, I mean, that alone, understanding that opportunity alone is out there, it's worth checking it out. So um thank you so much. If somebody wants to get a hold of you and find out more about what you guys do, maybe just connect and reach out, what's the best where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, the absolute easiest way is again through texting invest. That'll allow you to communicate directly with my team, and we can set up calls. There's so much we can do through that. We can lead you to more resources. And that's the place. So that phone number you can't even call. We've made this like a world-class white glove customer service platform where you come through that and you're well taken care of. So again, 877-771-0615, and you're going to text the word invest. So if you're just curious, or you're interested in investing, or you went to masterclass, again, this masterclass, it is so good. It is broken down to a very basic level, but it builds on itself where you can, by the end of this masterclass, you're like, I comfortably understand, what 95% more than anyone else in the entire world. And just so you know how quickly the adopters time period is, even though we're literally still at the very beginnings, there's more people in the US that have a cryptocurrency wallet than have a savings account in the US.
Wow.
More people have a cryptocurrency wallet than a savings account in America.
Really? That
Yep.
quick, huh? Insane. Well, yeah, man. Thank you so much. I'd like to ask this question before we sign off, and it's, I think it's one of my favorite questions because, I mean, obviously you have your track record, you have your history. So to get to this point, there had to be a pivotal moment in your mindset, in your thought process. So I'd like to ask this question: if you were walking down the street and you ran into your 17-year-old self, what would you tell that young Blake?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's probably not the normal answer that you get, but I would actually, teach my younger self the fear of the Lord. In my spiritual walk with the Lord, at that time, I was arrogant and prideful, and I wouldn't have said that, but that was like who I was. I wanted to be the things and do the things and be, I wanted to go own the island and screw the world and just go live thinking that was freedom. And the fear of the Lord is this fear of being outside of God's presence, fear of being outside of his favor, fear of being outside of his protection, fear of being outside of his guidance. And I would have, looking back, I would have seen like that was the largest thing that would have been a massive shift, because the Lord takes you through the painful roads to actually get you back on track. So it would have been teaching that and creating sobriety, that you could do whatever you want, but you've got to actually surrender your will and make it his will.
Not walk alone, huh? Love it.
That's right.
I love it. Blake, thank you so much. Once again, this has been very, very enlightening. It's a really, really cool conversation on a very confusing topic, and I think you nailed it with the breakdowns. So again, thank you so much for that free masterclass as well. I mean, I encourage everybody to come in and just take advantage of that. I mean, it's information that's out there on something that actually matters right now, where everything's shifting towards you. So it's been a blast having you on the show, man. Thanks so much.
Hey, my privilege, man. Look forward to doing it again soon.
Absolutely. Family, there you guys have it. Stay focused. You got this.